What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some Planet Coaster. I feel it's maybe about time that I actually review this Ghostbusters DLC. I was not going to buy it, and I actually did not end up buying this. So what it ended up happening was one of my fantastic fans, DGN Mist, ended up buying the DLC for me and gifting it to me over Steam. So I definitely want to thank her for that. She totally did not have to do that, but she said she wanted to see me review this. So at this point, most everybody who is going to buy it has probably already bought it. So I guess this is more or less just, you know, for those who just want to know what my thoughts and stuff on it are after I actually have my hands on it. So let's take a look here. So what we're looking at right now is we are in the actual new biome that they gave us, the cityscape here. So I've zoomed all the way in so you guys can kind of get a look at this a little bit closer. It makes me wonder if this takes up any more like frames per second than what anything else does. I'll be honest, I'm not really like I don't think this biome is that great. In fact, I would probably never ever use it outside of just what I'm showing you here today. So it's, you know, zoomed in, it looks actually kind of cool. You know, if only this was just closer, or maybe they had done something else with it. But no, what actually we have here is it's just kind of this city on a square kind of over here by itself. They kind of built, and then this is where we build over here. So really all you're seeing is just kind of that there, and I guess that's okay, but I feel that they could have done better. So let's get down to what's actually in the pack. First of all, we have the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man right here, and this is a blueprint that you get already put together, but you also get all the pieces and stuff separately, so you can put them together. You've got two different heads. This one here, the angry looking one, and the happy looking Stay Puft. And then you've got all the pieces to make his legs, his arms, all that stuff like that. So we do have that. Now, I also want to state that I am a huge Ghostbusters fan. I am 43-year-old. I saw the original Ghostbusters movie in theaters when I was a kid. It is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I love Ghostbusters. But still, I don't think this pack is worth the $14.99. Yeah, $14.99 if they're wanting for this. They're trying to sell it on the Ghostbusters name alone, and really, I mean, if you're a builder like me, this doesn't help. This does not help to build any kind of actual parks outside of doing something Ghostbusters related. I can't imagine any of these pieces right here being good for that. But let's move on down here to some of the stuff that I do think is kind of cool. So we have all the different ghosts and stuff down here, and the ghosts are actually quite well done. First of all, we have the slime and stuff here, so you can actually work with slime, but the slime doesn't ooze or anything, so that's kind of you know, I wish they had made it kind of like actually oozing slime. I know we have it in Spooky Pack, so maybe they could have done just maybe a little bit more with that. But now the ghosts themselves are quite cool. I don't know if you can see it here. You should be able to see it, but they're actually slightly transparent, which I think is really amazing. The artists themselves that work at Frontier always do an awesome job most of the time. It's like 60% of the time they do it every single time. But they're fantastic at modeling and everything. And the transparency looks amazing on the ghosts. So we have Slimer here. Obviously, then we got all these other ghosts, and these are all targets. So when you're using the actual new ride, the dark ride that they included, the Ecto 1 dark ride, or the Quick Draw dark ride that's included for free, you can actually throw these things in there. There you can see the transparency. They look solid at one degree and then transparent in another, which is really, really cool. Then we're going to jump over here to this purple guy, this alien-looking ghost here. Very weird looking, but and then we have this green guy, very gaseous looking, and then this blue guy here. The blue guy looks a whole lot like the purple guy down here. In fact, I'm actually wondering if they might be the same thing but just different color. No, I think Yeah, their legs are different. Okay, so their legs are slightly different. And then, let's see, then you have this green guy down here. Also a very gaseous looking creature. Looks like he's had a bit too much Chipotle. And then you got this little guy down here. Again, the face are very similar, so it looks like they reused a lot of the same models and just kind of put pieces of the models together to make new ghosts, which is fine. These things I can definitely see being useful if you're creating dark rides and stuff. You need some ghosts. So these, outside of Ghostbusters, are actually quite useful. Still, not worth $14.99. And then we got these guys down through here. This white guy, this red demon looking guy right here. He's actually one of the cooler ones. Alright, then we're going to get over here into the actual Ghostbusters pieces. So we have a gigantic proton pack. I don't know why we needed a giant proton pack. I don't understand this one. Also a giant trap and a thing that sets the trap off. Also a giant meter. A PKE meter. I don't know why we needed the giant versions. The small versions are kind of cool though. Like you could put these on a wall. They are still slightly larger than what the actual Ghostbusters are though. Like I don't think they could wear those on their back. But if you're doing a dark ride, you needed to maybe put these for scenery. Like, you know, maybe a equipment room or something like that. You can maybe throw those down in there. It could also maybe be used. You could sink it into the wall and use it for maybe some kind of electronic device. Possibly. Then you got the traps. You got the trap pedals and another PKE meter, which are all, again, quite large considering the size of the actual Ghostbusters themselves, which, let's take a look at the Ghostbusters themselves right now. So we have, right here, we've got Egon in 4 different versions. Each of the Ghostbusters have 4 different versions to them. And then we have Peter. Again, 4 different versions of Peter. We have Ray, played by Dan Aykroyd. This is 4 different versions of him. Basically, they're very much all the same. And then you got Winston down here. Never forget Winston to round out the group of 4. And there we have it. And then we have Gozer as well back here. Also got her included in the mix. Looking at her outfit, I'm kind of thinking, wait, I may need to rewatch the movie again or not, but it looks, I don't know, it looks like it's a rubber suit instead of maybe more skin tight like what she had on in the movie. And then we got the dogs. We got Vince and we got Zool. And this is another thing that I'm looking at them and I don't quite understand why we have these guys. I think I see it now looking at them again, but their horns are slightly bigger. But other than that, these are the exact same dogs. Look at this. This is, I don't know, this seemed like a waste to me. I don't think anybody really would have been specifically not too worried about that. Look at that. This is, other than the horns are the only difference between these 2 things. So I feel like maybe that was padding the pack. And what I mean by padding the pack is including multiple things of the same thing just to make it look like there's more pieces in it. So 4 different versions of that, or 3 different versions of each one, but they do the same animation and the only difference being the horns. So I'm pretty sure nobody would have said anything with the horns being different. I don't know. There are fairly anal people out there about that. Again, we have these bookcases to make the library scene maybe from Ghostbusters. And we got some books. These books, meh. I mean, hey, we got shelves and we got books in a spooky pack. And the books are actually flying books in a spooky pack. These don't do anything. They're just kind of there. So I don't really know why we need these. But I mean, the bookcases do have a different pattern on the side of it, so there is that. And then you get one that's already full too. Moving on along, I had a yawn there. We have this chair. Now the chair is pretty cool. We'll give the chair a prop out to that. That is probably something that could be useful. These tables and these chandeliers are also really cool. These are from the Sedgwick Hotel. So yeah, these are fairly neat. And I think I forgot to say the Ecto one. Now the Ecto one is amazing. I mean, if you look inside of it, they even modeled all the interior stuff on the inside of it. And once you beat the campaign and get a certain score in the campaign thing that comes with this pack, you can actually drive the Ecto one around, which is also kind of cool. Or at least that's what I've heard. I've not played through the campaign really at all, hardly. I've messed around with it a little bit, but it's not that great. It's nothing different really than what we already have. Basically what happens in the campaign is the ghosts, when they haunt a ride, it's essentially just the ride that's breaking down. That's all that's really happening there. It doesn't really add any new features or anything. And then you can actually hire the Ghostbusters themselves as security guards. So that's kind of how that works. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the actual set. So before I look over here at all the different pieces that come in this, let's take a look at what the blueprints and stuff are in here. So some of the things that you could maybe build. First thing we have is Dana's apartment building, which is this right here. And this is Spook Central, they call it. As you can see, and it's got Gozer's thing on top of it there. So all very well done. This is quite modeled quite well. So you can see some of the new pieces and stuff all put together to make this, which is it works quite well. And then you got these facades. I mean, I don't really understand why we need these, but hey, they include them just in case you want to do some more studio stuff. I guess it rounds up a studio pack, I suppose, but I'm not a huge fan of these facade things that we got. Here they put together a church using some of the new pieces and things like that. Maybe I'm not actually seeing anything kind of new on this, but well, anyway, it's there. So that was a blueprint that was included in that. And then this is what I mean by the facades here. So these are basically giant billboards. So, and the textures on them look about like they're kind of washed out a little bit like the billboards too. So I don't really understand why these are in there. This, again, I feel like this was just padding onto the pack. Not a whole lot there really worthwhile. I've been seeing people going crazy over the fact that these are included, and I don't get it. But to each their own. I'm not going to judge you if you bought the pack and you're excited to have this pack. If you paid the $14.99 for this pack and you're happy with it, well then, you know, that's you. You are happy with the pack because you're happy with it. But for those out there who are thinking about purchasing this and you're wondering if it's actually worth it or not, it's basically it's up to you to tell. This is just me saying my opinion on it. Next we have Ghostbusters Central here, the firehouse. Very well done. The pieces put together to make that are quite awesome. I really like that. And then we have this building here, which is just a building, you know. And then we got a nice Romanesque kind of building here as well. So also put together out of that. So these are some of the things that you could make out of the pieces that gave us. So let's take a look at the meat and potatoes of this pack. That if anything was going to make this pack worthwhile and worth purchasing, it is going to be these. But again, I say if you haven't already bought this and you're kind of thinking about it, maybe wait a little bit longer and see if it ever goes on sale. I don't feel like this pack is a needed thing. But so you've got these. Let me go into here and actually go into each piece. So we have this set here. So you can see all the different pieces and kind of going down through there. All these different wall pieces. I'll look over them all down through here. Different kinds of brick. And these are colorable as well. All the different things you could maybe make down through here. There's the entrance, the firehouse rounded entrance. This is a chimney here. We have these pieces here for like cornice pieces and things. Now these are actually, I will say these are actually quite cool. They did this so that you could put these together to make corners and stuff, which is really nice because that was one of the things I was missing from a lot of the packs is there was no good way to make like corners on things. So that's actually nice. I do like that. We have these gargoyles. If we only had a Batman, we could put Batman on top of that. So does that mean I want to pay $14.99 for a Batman DLC pack, Frontier? No, it does not. But, you know, these pieces are fairly neat. You can make these into, you know, pretty much anything you want. But they're basically for putting on the sides of buildings and things like that. So these could be quite useful. This is something I really like. Finally, we have a tarmac roof. We haven't had anything that really looked like a roof piece, like for a flat roof really, in the game until now. These things are actually quite neat. I feel like they might be slightly too thick to really kind of use, but I will give them a shot. You know, we'll see. More cornice pieces. And then more wall pieces. Again, a different kind of brick here. So, with windows embedded in them. And then we have these corner pieces here, which make, you know, different sizes of those. And this is something I want to talk about right here. They did the same thing that they did in World's Fair here. Talk about padding. Look at this. So we have a left door and a right door, right? Okay. But what happens if we just take this door, spin it around, like so. Now keep in mind, that's the left door. Oh, look. It's the same door. They gave us, they sold you the same door twice. There's literally no difference between this door on either side. It is the same door twice. They did the exact same thing in World's Fair. And I might have said Studios a minute ago, but no, World's Fair, they did the exact same thing. A lot of the doors in World's Fair are basically the same thing like this. They easily could have just, instead of making a door with double-sided like they did in this one and just giving this to us once, they made two different doors. I don't understand the point in that, but they did. But at least, hey, at least these doors are the right size, and these doors could be quite useful for making a few different things. So, like this door here, this door seems quite large in comparison. And here, they realized that, you know, they don't need two doors. Like this one, they gave us a left and a right, which is the same door, but this one, they did not give a left and a right of the same door. But you could literally just, you know, turn it around, and it's the same door. So I don't know. It's almost like they had two different like artists working on this, and or multiple artists, I would say, and none of, like, one hand didn't talk to the other hand. So it's like one hand thought, oh, I'll make two different pieces. The other guy make, well, I'll just, this one will do. So one guy was actually smart, and the other guy was not. The same thing here. You know, it's the same door no matter how you do it. So if I want to have this, and then I want a separate one, we'll make a separate one. We'll just, look at this. See how that works? Only one door included, and yet it does two things. So why give us a left and a right when it doesn't make any sense? Same thing with this door too. They realized that it's the same door, so they didn't give us two of those. But I don't understand why they give us two of these. Again, it's padding. They make the pack look bigger than it is. It might just be one piece, but compared to the actual usable pieces, it does mean a lot in the long run. Now this is one where I would say they didn't, you know, this one here would be something that they couldn't do that with, because it's actually two different pieces if you look. You have this side which has the small door in it, and then this one it doesn't, so that one's fine. This one, small door, rear door, different sizes there. So we got some more cornice pieces right in there as well. Again, more cornice pieces. I could definitely see these being quite useful. Wish I'd had these when I done my my Raven Mansion. We have fire escapes. These are probably, again, maybe useful if you're building a Studios park or something like that, or you need something for a background for dark ride. But you know, for if you're building a Cedar Fair park, if you're building a Six Flags park, if you're building Kennywood, anything like that, I don't really see these as being that useful. The ladder, maybe that might actually be kind of handy, but some of these I just don't get. More walls. Lots of walls. There are tons and tons of walls in there, which, again, if you were to want to purchase this pack for anything at all, it would be the wall pieces. But I don't feel like these are worth the $14.99, but they are quite cool. I feel like, you know, anybody could maybe make these in Theme Maker's Toolkit, so it wouldn't actually be something that would need or worth paying the $14.99 for, unless you really, really wanted it and had money to burn. Signs. Again, Stay Puft Marshmallow signs, not really needed unless you are paying, you know, if you're actually going to build something Ghostbusters related, then I guess that's all right. Same thing for these Ghostbusters signs. There's 2 of each because one is a lit sign and the other is non-lit. We got these things here. I'm curious, how many people actually use these? I mean, I rarely ever use the branded stuff in the game. I use the shops, but I usually will just put the shops behind my own kind of thing. So we got a Sedgwick Hotel. I don't see myself using that or these Ghostbusters insignias for anything unless I'm doing something specifically Ghostbusters, which I probably will not ever do. Then these are just useless padding. So and more of this facade stuff, which again I don't really get why we need any of these. This is kind of cool though. They have these texture things here, which are like graffiti, so you can put them on walls and things. That's actually kind of neat. More facade. This is all the different facade stuff. And again, like, these are just billboards. Just grab an image and put your own image on it, and voila, you got a billboard. It's all that is. So I don't get it, but... And then you got all these things over here. These, like, scaffolding things. Now, these are recolorable. They are also not gridded either, so you can do pretty much whatever you want with those, which is kind of nice. We do have something very similar in the game already, but these are colorable, so, and they're not on a grid, which is nice. More wall pieces. This is to make the Gozer building here. We have all of these up here. And these columns. These columns are kind of cool. Maybe make some like ancient temple ruins or something out of these. And then they gave us these, which are angled building pieces. So we're almost 2.5 years into the development of the game, and they're just now giving us angled pieces. You know what they could have done? They could have just made all the walls not on a grid, and that way we could have just put them sideways ourselves. Maybe. Just a thought. You got some steps. We got Gozer's door. I don't really get why there's multiple pieces of the door like this. Don't really understand that one. But there is. Got these little fencing thingies here that could maybe be used for fencing or the top of roofs or something. That's kind of cool. We got the 2 dogs, which are the gargoyles. These are the stone versions, not the actual live ones. We got these giant pieces here that will go on the side of a building for cornice pieces, as well as small ones. Actually, no, these aren't cornice pieces. These are, if you look at them this way, these run up inside down the building. Kind of like that. So you could take and build these and make like some really interesting things out of it. Those are kind of neat. These like temple looking, like giant concrete things here. These are kind of cool. And, you know, looking at all the wall pieces and stuff, the wall pieces are probably, again, the only reason really to get this set would be for what you're seeing right here. One thing that I really thought was really cool was this effect right here of this swirling cloud. I think I actually maybe could use that for something. I have a thought about something I can maybe use it for. So... And that's going to be it for basically all the pieces. Now, when I said those other things that could be used up and down a building there, this is what I was talking about right here. See, so you could build kind of these arch things on the side of buildings, which are kind of cool. Now, let's talk about what I consider the biggest thing of any pack that I'm going to pay for is what kind of rides are we getting. In this pack, we got 2 rides. One of them is the Slimer Coaster, which is a plain and simple. This is a useless reskin of the Junior Coaster. Specifically, it was pointed out to me that the Dragon Coaster, the Dragon Junior Coaster, doesn't have any of the little gates and stuff down here through the side of it, while the Wacky Worm one does, but this one does not as well. So this is like the Dragon Coaster. It doesn't have the gates up and down the side of the station, which is kind of cool. But again, it's Slimer themed, so the only place you could really use this is in some kind of Ghostbuster theme that you're doing. And we're already seeing people just make Ghostbusters stuff just because I think they just feel like they want to get something out of their money that they paid for this. But I feel like people are building, the general public are building like Ghostbusters areas in their parks. Like, oh, I'm building a Six Flags park, but I'm gonna put a Ghostbusters section in the park because I got Ghostbusters DLC now. Yeah, okay, good for you. That's fantastic. That's not realistic, but that's fantastic. I feel like this is a useless ride. Not worth it at all. But let's look at the one that is really, really, really cool, which is this over here. Now, this looks neat. Again, it is actually Ghostbusters themed, so you're not going to use this unless you're doing something Ghostbusters. But let me take note, though, that this was actually included for free, a different version of this. In fact, we can actually switch it out. So let me pause the game here real quick to get a good look at this one. Actually, now the designers, I'm not saying that the designers did a bad job at all on this pack. Everything in the pack looks amazingly good. What I'm saying is I don't feel that it's worth the $14.99. Even as a huge Ghostbusters fan, the price to what you get is just, it's not worth it. It's really, really not. And they're trying to market it as well. They had, you know, this is something I've seen people say, well, you know, they had to pay for the voice actors and stuff. No, they didn't. They totally did not. We could have totally gotten this without having Dan Aykroyd come in and voice it. And I'm sure Dan Aykroyd is happy to voice, you know, a Ghostbusters character again anyway, because he's been trying to get that new Ghostbusters movie made for I don't know how long. So for him to jump back into the role, I think he's happy to do anything involving Ghostbusters. So he probably didn't even cost that much to get him to do it. But they got William Atherton too, which played the kind of the bad guy in Ghostbusters. William Peck. He was kind of like the lawyer guy. And most people, if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, you don't know who that is. You have no clue who William Atherton is. And, you know, they could have gotten anybody to be like a bad guy for the story mode of this set that you get. And yet, you know, they decided to actually get somebody who is a celebrity somewhat. I don't know if you'd call him a celebrity at this point. But, yeah, so, you know, people are arguing, well, you know, they had to pay for the voice acting. Honestly, no, they didn't. They really did not. Nobody asked for a Ghostbusters set, and I would perfectly be fine with paying I would have paid $14.99 for a DLC with more rides and stuff in it. Classic pack, Magnificent pack, I would have paid $14.99 for those, and I wouldn't have argued about it because, I mean, it's all rides, and that's really amazing because for me, that's what I want. I want more rides in the game. That's the thing that I love about the packs. That's why I actually rate Vintage quite high. Is because we got a lot of rides in Vintage, more so than we got scenery pieces, and the rides that we got were actually quite cool. And so I was very, very happy with Vintage just because of that. Not the scenery, but the rides themselves. In this set, you get 2 reskinned rides. You get this one, which is a reskin of the free ride that we're already getting called the Quick Draw, which, like I said, I did say I would go into that there. So if we click on this, go in here, you can customize this. You can go back to the Quick Draw, and the free version is basically just the same thing that we already have in the game. There's not a whole lot of difference between it, except it allows you to shoot at targets, which I haven't set any targets up or anything, but you guys have seen this already in other videos, so you know how it works. If you already have the pack, you already know how it works. So, but this is the free version that you automatically get. So I would say go with a free version, guys, and wait for this to go on sale, because there's not much in this pack to make it worth $14.99. I did, right before this pack came out, I tweeted, you know, they said something, they were trying to sell this thing to everybody on Twitter, and I was like, I just don't feel like what you've shown us is worth, you know, the $14.99. Can we get a piece count? And I was completely attacked out of the blue, out of nowhere, by Jaunty from Geekism, who was being a complete ass over it and was completely uncalled for. And you know, let me make this very, very clear on this. I am no longer featured creator with Frontier because they said I was too negative at a time when actually I wasn't anywhere near as negative as I am now. I actually wasn't saying anything different or anything, you know, really that far off, except talking about things that needed to be patched and things like that. But I was actually quite clear on kind of what I said. I wasn't rude or anything like that. And yet they said that I was um, basically too mean to be a featured creator at the time. I was just not being that, and yet they allow Delay Designer. She can go into a Discord and call me names and stuff, and that's perfectly fine. They'll give her free stuff, and because she's Bo's friend and rides their coattails. And then you got Jaunty, who out of the blue just started laying into me and busting my balls because I asked for a piece count. And truth be told, he already knew everything that was in this pack because they got to go to Frontier Studios and actually check it out. And I'm wondering if they actually they got paid to do that. Like, did they fly them out or drive them out there or anything like that? It makes me wonder what they actually spent themselves to actually get to Frontier. Probably nothing. And then, of course, they get the packs. And it's just like, they know nothing about rides. They know nothing about coasters. Jaunty himself said he's not even a fan of Ghostbusters. And yet they give this stuff to them for free. And he already knew exactly what was in this pack, and he knew that this pack wasn't worth it. And so, yeah, that's just kind of one thing I said. And there's a reason I'm bringing this up, is because if you guys think, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate messages on this, a lot of comments, and things like that, and a lot of downvotes on what my thoughts about this pack is. And that's perfectly fine. Go ahead, downvote me, because it still counts as an interaction. It still ranks me up there. Doesn't matter whether it's a downvote, an upvote. I don't care. I really don't. It doesn't bother me in the least. So you do whichever one you feel like doing. But, if you don't think that what I have to say, if you think that my saying of this pack just isn't really worth what it's what the asking price is, don't take my word for it. Take Jaunty's, because I have this screenshot from the Bro Nation Discord where, after busting my balls and saying that I should wait for a piece count, I should wait and see what's in the set, then he turns around and says the exact same thing that I said, that it's not worth the price for what you get. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for watching this this quick review video. I did promise DGN Mist, Dragon Mist, I call her Dragon Mist. She said the DGN stands for Dragon. So I mean, thank you so much for buying this pack for me. I'm sure there's some pieces in here I will use. But for those of you who have not actually purchased this yet, wait for a sale. Or, make your own decision. If you think it's worth it, by all means, go ahead, buy it. I've showed you everything that is in the pack, piece by piece. I have, you've seen other people by this point that already have it, and you've probably already seen people play through the campaign. So that's all there is to this pack. I'm looking forward to the next pack, which is most likely going to be some sort of rides pack. So that's what I'm more or less looking forward to, and I will be more excited about that next pack than this. And it's a shame. I'm such a huge Ghostbusters fan too. If this pack would have been $10, like $9.99 for this pack, I would say, yeah, it's probably maybe worth $9.99 for it. But the fact that they made it worth more is just not, it's not worth it. Not worth $14.99. Don't let them try to sell you on that campaign mode, because that campaign mode ain't nothing either. So, alright guys, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you in the next one, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thanks for watching. What's up, everybody? Thank you for watching the video. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button down below and click on the bell to stay on top of all my new videos and live streaming events here on YouTube. I also want to give a huge shout out to all the names you see on the right for their support through donations, Patreon, and through Twitch subs. If you would like to join their ranks and you are able, you can do so by clicking on any of those links in the video description down below. No worries though, if you don't like giving away money like that, you can still support the channel by purchasing games or anything through Greenman Gaming, through Humble Bundle, or through Amazon by clicking on my links and making your purchase. A little bit of that goes towards me to support the channel. If you still can't get enough of me, you can always check me out live on twitch.tv and stay up to date with me on Twitter as well. Now that's going to be it, but I can't say thank you enough for all your support here on the channel. wherever you guys are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. See you later.